Hey, nature photographers, it's Lee Hoy here. I just got off the plane from Florida, where I spent the last week doing my first ever OM system only workshop on mastering birds in flight. Had an incredible time. We were on a boat, spending 2 days photographing nesting ospreys, and then 2 days doing snail kites, amongst a whole other assortment of birds. I'll show some little video snippets here in a minute from Florida, but tonight Blitzen, my English bulldog, is going to join us. And his topic for the evening, I asked him what he thought I should share, and his idea was to do one of my sarcastic videos called Top 3 Ways to Make Your Nature Photography Worse. So since I haven't got seen much this year, I thought I'd let him get up on the bed, which is a very special treat. Dad doesn't do that. So, yeah, you hear that? Tell him all about it, buddy. So, having said that, let's get rolling. Hey, nature photographers, I'm Lee Hoy, OM System Ambassador, photography workshop instructor for Wildside Nature Tours and Precision Camera and Video, and contributing author for the Journal of Wildlife Photography. Here we go. All right, so a little warning, a little safe space warning. This video is about sarcasm, and some of you are so literal that sarcasm generally goes right over your head, in which case you probably don't enjoy a lot of my videos anyways. However, of course, I really don't want your photography to get worse, but I'm going to give you 3 tips that if you desire to make it worse, these will nail it for you. You know, as nature photographers, there's always ways we can work on improving our photography, but time and time again, I see people doing things over and over that actually make their photography get worse. So, by the way, if you're watching this, pause it. If you're watching it early on Sunday morning, pause, hop over to Rob Treck's YouTube channel. I'm doing a live YouTube video with him, maybe right now, with Emily Taupin, another OM System Ambassador. We're talking wildlife, macro photography, all things OM System. So hop over there, come back and finish this. And if you missed the live video, it'll be recorded and you can watch that on Rob Treck's YouTube channel. All right, so let's jump into the first way that you can make your photography worse, okay? And that is, don't worry about nailing the shot in camera. You can fix it in post-processing, okay? Whatever you do, don't worry about getting your exposure correct or getting it really sharp. Thank God we have all these softwares on how to take a crappy shot and make it less crappy, okay? I see this over and over again, particularly on Facebook ads, where do you have a slightly blurry image? And basically, photographers are trying to get you to buy software through their affiliate link. Now, let me be the first to say, I have some affiliate links up. It's how we make a living. It's what we do. But I'm not going to have an affiliate link up on how to make your crappy images slightly less crappy. I want to teach you how to nail your images. I want you to develop the mindset that it's okay to delete images, that we don't have to try to save all of our almost images. It is rare that I find that very satisfactory. My goal is to perfect my art, perfect my craft, and I would like to see you as nature photographers continually working to make your images better by nailing it in camera. And by nailing it, I mean exposing to the right, okay? Ending up with a great image with a lot of data in it. Then I want to talk about not having to crop a ton because we've developed good field craft. I want to talk about learning how to nail your autofocus time and time again, okay, so that you're starting out with excellent, sharp images. And then learning how to read light, learning how to read situations, and knowing what images are going to be excellent to begin with. I'm not here to try to teach you how to take a mediocre shot and try to do something with it. That doesn't personally provide me any satisfaction. It may you, and if so, rock on, have a ball, but I'm not going to teach you that. Okay? What I want to teach you are the principles, the foundations, the core elements of what makes for excellent nature photography. But if you want to make your photography worse, use this phrase, oh, I'll fix it in post-processing. If you're with me in the field on a workshop or over here, you're going to get an eye roll and probably a sarcastic comment from me about that. I'm not saying you shouldn't. You know, you may still want to, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to harass you about it. As an artist, I take delight in looking at something well done, not in trying to rescue something. So for me, my photography is both art, craft, science, and expertise. I take pride in what I do, and pride means not putting out a mediocre product. Now, remember, our level of excellence changes over time. what was once excellent to you may become mediocre to you later on. What might be mediocre to me may be your level of excellence. Just like many years ago, my level of excellence would be horrifyingly embarrassing right now. Okay? So I'm not talking about not being satisfied with where you are in the photographic journey, but always working towards improvement. So, see, I think I got him so aggravated thinking about fixing images and post-processing, he had to get resettled there. So that's the first one, okay? The second way to make your nature photography worse is whatever you do, don't linger on a subject. Make sure you rush off to find the next one. I laugh because I often see folks that are always on the move. They're just forever walking somewhere. It's kind of like Sierra Club hikers. They're just, they love to talk about how far they went and how little time. That interests me none. I want to stop, observe, enjoy, experience nature, okay? So I don't know why I see this a lot on trips where the mindset for many nature photographers is, oh, there's a better subject right around the corner, just further down the trail. Rather than finding a great cooperative subject or great light and allowing subjects to come to you, it's always on the hunt for the next thing. And it's just the spray and pray or shoot in whatever direction there's a subject with no regard to lighting, light direction, light quality, light quantity. No consideration to background, no consideration to angles regarding your subject or your scene, right? In landscape, knowing, hey, this is a nice foreground element, or knowing this is a scenario that's good to the eye, but it won't translate well to an image. Slow down. Patience is one of the premier characteristics of a great nature photographer. And I'll talk about a specific example of a client in Big Bend that he also did trail running. And after probably 20 or 30 minutes, we were trying to do bird photography. I looked at his wife and I said, he will never get better. And she had a funny look on her face. I said, I said, he will never get better. She said, why is that? I said, because he doesn't know the difference between trail running and photography. And the two are not compatible. There's a scene in Yes Man with Jim Carrey where he's in a jogging photography club. And that's what I always think about. It's click, 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 click. And when you're in that mindset, you're choosing quantity over quality. Now, if that's what you enjoy when you're doing nature photography, hey, rock on, have a ball. Just clickety click, 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 click. Point in any direction. Don't regard any of the things that lead to a great image. But if you want to improve your photography, take one lens, okay? If you're going to do wildlife or macro or landscape or night sky, don't carry your whole giant bag with every lens you own, thinking that you're going to swap out. I learned early on that if I'm going to do macro, focus on macro a little bit, If I'm going to do wildlife, focus on wildlife. If I'm going to do landscape, focus on landscape. Now, again, you're on an African safari. You want the wide-angle lens there in case you get a beautiful scene, right? But there's a lot of places where it's more conducive to focusing. So quit thinking that miles covered translates to great images. Quit thinking that there's something better just around the corner. Just around the corner may be crappy light angles. I wonder what would happen if you practice like stillness and patience and saying, I've got beautiful light. A couple of days ago, may have just been yesterday, good Lord. Yeah, it was last night, wasn't it? Holy cow. I've had a lot happen in the last 24 hours. We were at the Orlando Wetlands Park, and that had one of my favorite lighting conditions is stormy backgrounds, dark blue, that rich blue stormy sky with beautiful front lighting. So your greens and your blues and your colors are super saturated. And I knew I was on a boardwalk and I said, I'm going to stand right here, hope my clients would. This is the angle to shoot and just see what flies through it. And yeah, there were periods of downtime. There were birds behind us, terrible lighting conditions, right? There were birds to the side, very busy background, but that light angle was spectacular. I haven't had the chance to edit those yet, so I can't throw that in the video, but that's where I'm just setting up for success. And I'm not in a rush. I'm going to take advantage of what comes in front of me, okay? So quit thinking it's further down the trail, or it's just around the corner, a little bit further down the beach, or it's the next bird. Stay and work a subject until you learn how to master that, okay? Now, The third way to make your nature photography worse, only use one autofocus point configuration setting for all things. Whatever you do, never change your autofocus point configuration. Some people might call that autofocus point area. I'm talking about whether you have the smallest single box like on the OM1 or the OM1 Mark II. Do you have the larger single box? You have a cross, you have 3x3, 5x5, or small, medium, large, all. I have often people say, well, what's your autofocus point setting for what? Because it changes, right? For macro, I'm often using the smallest box. Remember, we're looking for contrast within that box. So macro, my subjects are very tiny, and it's easier to find contrast. That tiny little box on a bird or mammal is useless. But if I'm using bird tracking, I like a larger area. I want to give it more spots to try to find the bird initially. On the OM1, I like using all. On the OM1 Mark II, all does not work quite as well, so I use larger on that. However, if I've got a bird sitting in some branches or there's other obstacles in the way, I will use my FN lever to go from all to the larger small box. And I'll move that to the head where I want the subject positioned. For landscape, I've created a custom one of a big line. I can move the line sideways to the left or right. If I have generally I'm focusing a third of the way into the image for landscape images, so I can put that bar right on a third of the way in. And if there's some subject or object closer that it's trying to grab, I just move it left or right. But that one of those squares will find an area of contrast. Okay, so that's what I tend to use for landscape. Night sky, I create a thick box, horizontal, like a rectangle that goes across the top of the sky. So I don't have any autofocus points on the land, and that way I'm giving starry sky autofocus a better chance of finding a star rather than having it fiddle fart around with some of the land. So there is no one autofocus area configuration that's going to do everything. So one of the most important ways is, one of the most important skills I will say when it comes to mastering your system is learning how to change your autofocus points quickly. All right, so those are just three. I have many more. I'll do some more videos in the future on that. I have had a great workshop. I limited it to 3 participants, and I only took maybe 10,000 images of ospreys at 50 frames per second most of the time. It was an incredible experience. Probably be offering that workshop again in the future. It is a very intense, teaching-driven workshop to help you master bird and flight photography. I am hoping you join us over at YouTube Live with Rob Trek. Hop over to the Wildside Nature Tours website and check out some of my upcoming workshops. A big shout out to Kevin Laughlin, owner of Wildside Nature Tours. Without his support, I wouldn't be able to bring you these videos. It's been a pleasure this evening. I wanted to bring you these topics. Hope you're learning from them. Thank you for all the comments. I really enjoy it, and I do my best to respond to all of them. Sometimes when I'm on the road, it might take me a day or two, but I promise I read them and I post as I can. Y'all have a great week. Get out, get some great shots. I look forward to hearing from you.